Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network, a division of the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network. The following program broadcast is an original creation by the broadcast entity. Discussion within the following broadcast should be used for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice or consultation. Before considering application of any broadcast content in the following program, please consult your healthcare provider. If you feel you are having a medical emergency, please contact your local health services for immediate assistance. MS&Me Media and the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network do not guarantee or warrant the accuracy of information in the broadcast to follow. The Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network provisions broadcast services to program hosts. Information discussed in the broadcast does not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, or goals of the network and are solely those of the show broadcast host. Should you wish to host a broadcast, please visit our website at msmemedia.com and submit a request to become a program host. We thank you for listening to the MS&Me Radio Network. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Girl with MS on MS&Me Radio Network, a division of the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network. I'm Caroline Craven, a.k.a. the Girl with MS. We're living with multiple sclerosis is more than just an illness. It's a way to empower our lives by making positive change. Over the course of our time together, we'll be sharing many experiences with other MS patients and other people across the country. As we know, MS is a snowflake disease and no two are alike. Every time we get the upper hand on this illness, we like to say, take that MS. We are especially grateful to be interviewing Cynthia Toussaint today, who is the founder of For Grace. Now, Cynthia does not have MS, but Cynthia has dealt with chronic pain for a long time, and we are going to talk to her and hear her story. I met Cynthia at the For Grace Pain Summit a few years ago and was able to hear her story, and we shared a lot of great information. And so we're going to get started. So welcome, Cynthia.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here.
Thank you.
We can talk forever. And you said I didn't have MS, but interestingly enough, I have been diagnosed with MS. So I'm not sure. I have so many I have multiple chronic conditions. So who knows? Maybe I do have MS. Maybe that doctor was right. I don't know.
Thank you. I know. We were just talking about that. Obviously, I read off script. I was like, oh, yeah. Yes, interesting. So welcome. So
thank you.
Could you tell us a little bit about, because you've dealt with chronic pain for a long time. People with MS deal a lot with chronic pain. So not the same illness, or it is. It could be. But the same story. So I'd love to hear, we would all love to hear your story, what you're diagnosed with, and how you got here today. That would be great.
Wow. Okay, so the Reader's Digest version, Caroline. 35 years ago, exactly actually in October, I was a 21-year-old ballerina, singer, and actor, and I just landed a part on the TV show Fame, the original, and that's when I sustained a ballet injury in my right leg that triggered the chronic pain disease known today as complex regional pain syndrome, or CRPS. I call it CRIPS. And because for the first 13 and a half years of my illness, my doctors told me that my physical problems were all in my head. I was left bedridden for a decade, and I was unable to speak for 5 of those years while the CRIPS spread throughout my entire body and ravaged my vocal cords. I was diagnosed, I was very abused by the medical system. I was diagnosed with things like stage fright, tendonitis from Mars. I was often told that I was enjoying a secondary gain that I received from my attentive partner, John, who's still with me, 37 years, going strong. When my right arm folded up into a permanent contracture, that was about 27 years ago, a doctor told me that I was folding up my arm with my mind, just the way one levitates oneself. The worst thing that was ever said to me by a doctor was, he said, you're only a woman anyway. It doesn't really matter. Why don't you just shoot yourself in the head? And that actually oddly empowered me. And when I was hearing you talk about positive change, it empowered me for the work that the advocacy work that I was going to do, because I thought, you're crazy. I mean, I was just so abused that I knew that in the future I was going to do something to help other people who were suffering the way that I was. So what I have actually, CRPS is known also as the suicide disease. I dealt with, my disease affected every part of my life negatively, at least at first. Unfortunately, severe high impact chronic pain doesn't bring out our best angels, and my family members they weren't strong enough to stay, except for my mother. My friends pre-illness left. A couple of them saw me in the media later, and they did come back, but for the most part, they're gone. And I was not able to have a baby because of a procedure that was done. It was unnecessary medical procedure. I lost so much. I couldn't even marry John because I would have lost my health care and my benefits. You just lose so much abandonment, and then I was suffering such severe pain that I call it, it's like I liken it to being doused with gasoline and lit on fire. The pain is that severe, and it was, when it was spreading to my body, it didn't make any sense, and the doctors were saying it was crazy, and eventually I lost all my hope, and I came up with a plan of suicide, and I thought for sure I was going to take my life, but it was always going to be tomorrow, and I realized now that was really a coping mechanism for me to survive. And then with time, I developed other diseases. The worst ones for me, besides CRIPS, are chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia, because they don't allow me to get a night of restored sleep, or it's very rare that I can get restored sleep. So not only am I in pain all the time, but I'm also fatigued all the time, and so many of us are. So, if you think about how you torture a human being, you deprive them of sleep and inflict physical pain. Welcome to the world of chronic pain. It's a rough one, but there are gifts, and now we're doing work to really help a lot of other women in pain throughout the world. So that's very exciting. My life is never boring. So anyway, that's a Reader's Digest.
I know you have definitely been through so much, and wow, thank you for sharing. That's just amazing. You were talking about coping and gifts, and how it challenges you to bring out your best angel. Could you tell us a little bit about how you found that journey?
Yeah,
get through that.
That's a rough one, because it doesn't, like, one day you don't say, okay, I'm going to turn this hell into a gift, and I'm going to make it something wonderful. I think acceptance. I'm going to go to London and be part of a global CRIPS focus group. I'm going to represent the U.S. and I was just sort of writing down the journey of a person with CRIPS, the patient's journey, and I sort of had to ask myself, wait, where did I come to acceptance? Where did that part come in? And I think that it comes, and I realized that it came sort of incrementally in my life. When I got sick, and I was dancing like 6 hours a day when I first got sick, and then I had to move back into my mom's home, and I couldn't walk at all, and I lost so much. But and I kept thinking I'd get diagnosed, I was going to get a cure. In my head, I was going to continue my show business, glamorous life. But then I finally, after about 5 years, realized that, you know what, I'm always going to have this, whatever it is, because it took 13 and a half years for me to get diagnosed. And I think that was a big part of acceptance, was I'm going to leave, I'm going to move out of my mom's house, I'm going to move to Los Angeles, be in the center of the entertainment, capital, and I'm going to pursue my dreams, with what I have left. So that was a big part of acceptance. And then I still, though, had maladaptive behavior. I was very, very angry. I would rage against John and my mom, the two people who stayed. There's just so much maladaptive behavior that a lot of us drink. We self-medicate, just things that we do that aren't good. And but it does come with the anger of, like, I'm not going to lose my life without a fight. But I think that another big part of acceptance for me was letting go of my former life, and realizing that suffering is a part of my life, and it probably will be for the rest of my life. At age 35, I'm sorry, at age 35, I'm 56, but at year 35, and even at age 35, I probably had already realized that I'm going to have this for the rest of my life, or I probably will. So I think that letting go of the former life, which was so hard for me to do, that was a huge part of acceptance, and then reinventing myself. And I was doing HMO reform, which I loved, and suddenly I had this voice, and I was the center of HMO protests. I was speaking at press conferences in a gurney that folded. It was actually a wheelchair that folded out into a gurney, and media was coming to my home and coming to my bed literally to interview me. And so I found purpose. I found meaning. So that was another big part of acceptance, was finding meaning in my life, and moving on naturally to For Grace to help people with CRPS originally, and then helping all women with high impact chronic pain. So I think finding meaning was also a big part of acceptance, and that's kind of how I sort of changed it and decided that, hey, there's something really wonderful here, and there are many gifts. I can't imagine having the insight I have and the empathy for people that I have if I hadn't gotten sick. Yeah. And we all just sort of speak the same language, don't we, Caroline?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we get it.
Definitely. Yep.
Yeah. And all my friends, it's like a lot of the women that I work with are women in pain, and I call them my sisters. Whereas I don't have a family member like that who can really get it and understand that. I don't have a sibling like that, but I do have these sisters, quote unquote sisters, that I work with, and we all get it, and we're all there for each other. So that's a great gift. I mean, the people that I meet, I get to work with all of my heroes. I mean, what a gift! How many people can say that? In many ways, I feel so lucky. Yeah.
That's a great way to look at it. I know. I think of all my girls, whatever, they're and boys, but the MS people, it's all my heroes. We are the superheroes getting out there every day and not putting on the sad, pity face, but putting on the smile and trudging forward and saying, not all of us have the same wonderful life, but it's all wonderful. It's just wonderfully different. Whatever. Yeah, exactly. Some of us have pain. Some of us have other things to live with.
Right. And it would be so boring if we were all the same,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And people will say to me, like, I don't know what I do without Cynthia's smile. And it's like, is that interesting? And then I just naturally smile. I mean, kind of greet the world with a smile, right? And then when people hear my story, they'll kind of say, you kind of have nothing to smile about. And it's like, but we all do. If we have gratitude, we all do have something to smile about. And I look at people who maybe don't have problems that would be considered tragic like mine, but so many of the people that I encounter, I think of as far more disabled than me. And I still use a wheelchair, but I would still say I'm far less disabled than many people who I meet, because for whatever reason, they weren't blessed with the kind of strength that some of us have. I'm very grateful to have a lot of strength. I always did. I was always very straightforward and strong, and if there's a problem, I'm the one who takes care of it. You know what I mean? You probably are too, Caroline.
I am, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I am, and I think a lot of people with MS and chronic illness, whatever, are. But, there are times when we can't find that strength, like we've lost it. And then what do you think of, like, how do we find it? How do we encourage other people to find that strength when we know it's there, but we just, I don't know, we've lost it, Yeah,
and we all do. I think
we do.
We do. And I think it's really important to grieve. And grieving, the grieving process really never ends. I mean, I've been grieving for 35 years, but you move forward, then you go back. It's not like what is it, denial first, and you finally get to acceptance. It doesn't move like that. I mean, you might be in the middle of it and then go back. And I don't know that you go back to denial, but I mean, I think that's so important. When people say not to grieve, that bothers me. I mean, when I'm really down, Caroline, I'm done. This hasn't happened for a long time, but I'm just going to bed. I'll just go to bed. I've had it. I can't take this anymore. But then I lie in bed and I start thinking, and I'll come up with an idea. And then when I get up and I'm ready to go again, I realize that it's been like 45 minutes. It's been 45 minutes. I gave up for 40 minutes. I think that we have to allow ourselves to quote unquote give up. It's very short lived. And be upset and grieve, and we have so much loss. It's not normal not to grieve, and I think that we all have so much strength. And I guess I think that if we allow ourselves to grieve, we're a lot stronger for it, because we're looking at what's really there. And if we're not looking at the loss, I don't see how we really can move forward. And I think that the way we help other people find their strength is by example. And we're amazingly strong women and men. Those of us who deal with chronic pain, MS, any kind of disability. I just heard Jane Goodall on the radio. She's on our board. I adore this woman, and the interviewer asked her, where do you find your hope right now? Because it's a really challenging time, in the world. And she said something, I'm paraphrasing Jane Goodall, but she said something like, when I see people who overcome great disability, but they have that indomitable spirit, that's my hope.
Mm-hmm.
So that was so strong. It gave me
Wow.
goosebumps just paraphrasing her right now.
Yes.
And we all had that.
Gosh.
The thing is, we
Indomitable spirit. Oh,
there you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was Jane Goodall?
Yeah, and she's right, because nobody who's listening to this show has given up. None of us give up. We keep going, and I think that we surprise ourselves with our strength, don't we?
You're right.
Well, because
totally do. Yep.
If somebody had said to you what you're gonna go through in your life with MS, would you have thought you could have made it and thrived? You're thriving.
I'm thriving.
I wonder.
I'm thriving. I don't. You know what? I've always felt that if it. I don't. I think a lot of it was me for my faith, my faith journey and all that.
Did you say your faith journey?
My faith.
Yeah.
Faith, kind of that. When I did get the challenge, I felt like, okay, bring it on. I'm going to put up my dues and fight this, but bring it on. I'm ready. And for me, I think that had a lot to do with my family, my Christian faith. For me, growing up, just where I grew up. And I appreciate that all the time, but it really did play a major role. Just amazing.
Well, and we all are fighters, and I was just talking about a lot of abuse from the medical community, and we're all saying Me Too right now about sexual harassment and
right.
And I'm going to write a post about how abused I was and all the sexual harassment that I dealt with from healthcare professionals. And we have to be our own advocates, and we have to be fighters. Actually, on the book I wrote, on the front cover, I'm in a wheelchair, wearing the ballet garb I was wearing the day of the injury, and I put boxing gloves on the back of the wheelchair because it's always a battle. You know what I mean? But we do win the battles. I mean, we ultimately we lose some of the battles, but I guess we ultimately win the war, don't we? Because we're so
you got to put up your dukes. You've got to put up your dukes and fight. If you don't, you got to mentally, spiritually, and physically create your own health, build your own health, take control. Because no one's going to do it for us.
I love that. No one's going to do it for us, and with undercare and overcare in our medical system and everything falling apart, really. I believe now I'm a very strong, and at For Grace we're very strong proponents of integrative care and forwarding integrative care. Because why throw out half of the care? I mean these doctors have they have their MD in Western and Eastern. Why just throw out the Eastern? I don't really understand. Well, I guess it's money. I mean, why are doctors so threatened by including the Eastern?
Right.
Acupuncture really helps me, and it actually helps me with my fatigue, and it helps me with my pain. And then self-care is I think of everything, self-care is most important.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's actually how I went into my second remission, partial remission, and it was all through self-care, and I was just amazed. A lot of it was narrative therapy. I know you're a writer. I find that so...
What kind of therapy you said? Say that again.
Narrative from writing.
Narrative therapy. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I had no idea. And
so journals and letters and things like that?
It was actually writing my story as a book and literally writing what I wasn't even going to include in the book, and then having my 37-year partner who's been with me all along, John. At one point my agent said, no one's going to believe this story. You have to bring in John as your partner, caregiver, and witness. And so that was like couples therapy, because I had no idea what John had been thinking throughout. I just thought he's Superman and he's always fine. And at first, being a caregiver, he could only write about Cynthia. And we would all, our agent, our editor would look at it and go, this is great, but it's all about Cynthia. So finally, he had to go to a therapist. John had to go to a therapist. He had to ask me for permission to hurt me, which I yes, hurt, really? Go ahead, yes. I mean, how could he hurt me? And then we gave him, I remember our editor gave him keywords, and I went out to watch a movie, so I didn't need anything, and he wrote for 2 hours. And that's when it started coming out for him. And that really helped me, and it helped our relationship so much. We became so much stronger because of all that really open communication. Then we couldn't stop him from writing. It's like, John, we got enough. But he needed to write too. So it probably helped him too. But I started, I hadn't done any aerobic exercise in 19 years, I wasn't able to. And I was having far less pain. I was not needing to use my wheelchair nearly as much. I was wearing different shoes. I'd worn the same pair of shoes for 19 years.
Wow.
It was just a nightmare. Being a woman having to wear this old pair of Reebok tennis shoes.
Yeah, no, I understand.
And I started swimming, and within a month I was swimming a mile.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it felt like a miracle, and everybody said, "What'd you do? What'd you do?" And I didn't know. And all I could think of was I switched from Western medicine, which I was being abused again, and I switched to integrative care, and I had written this. I'd done all this writing with John. So that's my official answer. I don't know, but that's all I can point to. So I always tell women, in pain, anyone suffering any kind of pain, have a pad of paper by your bed and a pencil, and when you wake up, just write your stream of consciousness. Whatever comes out is what you need to write, and then burn it. Have a ceremony, get rid of it, publish it, whatever you want to do, but just write it, because I think you'll get more well. Such an important part of self-care.
You know what? I absolutely agree with that 100%. I used to journal a lot and all that. I've done different forms. I've written allegorical stories, different things, expressing my journey. But
right.
Lately, I really love writing letters, just handwritten letters to friends. I'm like, I don't want people to find all this and read it after I'm dead. I just want to, what I do, I connect my experience with that person. I really appreciate them. They're like gratitude notes.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that, gratitude notes.
So cathartic.
Yeah, and I actually send handwritten notes to people, and they always remember that handwritten note, because that's really an old-fashioned thing to do, to write a letter. I love that. Yeah, and I actually had I can't write that much because a physical therapist talking about Western medicine broke my arm. And so I actually, as a result, I can't write a lot. But they told me without surgery, my doctors told me I would never swim again. I would never write. I'd never play the piano. I played the piano today for 30 minutes. I swam almost a mile, and I'm writing a little bit. So, but you just listen to everything with a grain of salt. But yeah, writing it's such a beautiful art form. And when I send letters to people, it's like when you write, it's like art, because I love to write where I like to do pretty writing. Makes me feel good. It's like art.
Yeah.
It
is. It is.
Yeah, and we're all creative people, and that's another thing I think that's so important with self-care is to be able to express ourselves creatively. That's just human. We need to. If it's writing or pottery, or I love to sing. I would mention playing the piano. Whatever we love to do. It's like we need to get back in touch with our passions. We don't have to lose our passions. We might have to find a different way to express them, but we always can.
Yeah. We can.
Yep.
Let me ask you this, Cynthia. What's your URL for your website? I'm running out of time a little bit. I just want to get that in.
Already.
I know, right? I know. We can talk forever.
I am known to be a talker, Caroline. Okay, so it is For Grace, and it's spelled out FORGRACE.org, and named for the little girl that John and I wanted to have. And so For Grace is our baby, but she's now a 15-year-old teenager, almost 16. Crazy how time flies.
Gosh.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. I know. And I absolutely love everything we're doing, and we have another minute or so. But anything else you want to say to the audience? Because this has just been so amazing, so beautiful. Anything else you want to tell our audience about living with pain and how to get through it, how to find that hope that you mentioned
First
earlier?
of all, we all need to know that as long as we're alive, there's hope, and that we're much stronger than we think we are. We don't know what we can face until we come right up against that challenge. And I think it's also really important to focus on meaning rather than so much on happiness. Happiness will come, but I think meaning is far more important with pain, and know that we all have gifts that we never would have had, and we're very lucky for that. That's what I want to say.
Yeah.
And thank you, Caroline. Yeah.
Oh, my God. Thank you, Cynthia. That was just so beautiful. And you guys remember, go to forgrace.org And thank you for joining me today with Cynthia Toussaint at Girl with MS radio station. Remember, every Sunday, I think we're at 5:30 Pacific time, Sunday afternoon, but I think you can get archives here at msradiogsn.com. And I'm just looking forward to continuing these conversations. Cynthia, I can't thank you enough for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for being my inspiration, Caroline. Thank you for being one of my heroes that I get to work with. Thank you for that, Caroline.
I love it. Oh, my God. Okay, well, we'll wrap that up, and we're going to keep talking, but that show is a wrap. I can't wait to keep talking about more about this and with you in the future. This is just love. You're a lovely lady, Cynthia. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Caroline. You go, girl, with MS.
We'll talk to you soon.
Okay. It's a date. Okay.
Have a good one, girl. Okay.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Caroline.
One of my heroes and my sister, Cynthia